Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another video on the Submitter's Perspective channel. Today's video is about how to study the Quran. In this video, we will look into Quranic verses which provide us the guidelines to effectively study the Quran. In order to understand or grasp the message of the Quran, one has to follow the divine guidelines provided in it. So what are these guidelines and how can we use them to effectively study the Quran? In Surah 56 verse 79, God teaches us that only the purified can grasp the Quran. The verse reads, "La yamassuhu illa al-mutahharun." None can grasp it except the sincere. This verse teaches us that sincerity or purity of the heart is essential to grasp the message of the Quran. The lack of sincerity or purity of the heart leads to the divine sealing of one's heart. We see this in Surah 18 verse 57 where God says, "Who are more evil than those who are reminded of their Lord's proofs, then disregard them without realizing what they are doing. Consequently, we place shields on their hearts to prevent them from understanding it, and deafness in their ears. Thus, no matter what you do to guide them, they can never be guided." So if one is a sincere student of the Quran, he or she has to refrain from distorting the message, concealing the word of God, selective emphasis of the verses to extricate a certain meaning, and also refrain from fabricating innovations. In Surah 4 verse 82, God teaches us that we have to study the Quran carefully. It says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Why do they not study the Quran carefully? If it were from other than God, they would have found in it numerous contradictions. And in Surah 47 verse 24, God says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Thus, from these verses, it is clear that God commands us to carefully study the Quran and ponder on its verses. As students of the Quran, we have to remain humble and seek God's help in increasing our knowledge. We see this in Surah 20, 114. فَتَعَالَى اللَّهُ الْمَلِكُ الْحَقِّ وَلَا تَعْجَلْ بِالْقُرْآنِ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يُقْضَى إِلَيْكَ وَحْيُهُ وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. Most exalted is God, the only true King. Do not rush into uttering the Quran before it is revealed to you, and say, "My Lord, increase my knowledge." And in Surah 7, 204, God says, وَإِذْ قُرِيَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. When the Quran is recited, you shall listen to it and take heed that you may attain mercy. The Quran teaches us that as students of the Quran, we are to only accept information that is based on clear evidence. This is why in Surah 211 we see God saying, قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Say, produce your proof if you should be truthful. And from Surah 17 verse 36 we learn that we should not accept any information unless we verify it. It says, "You shall not accept any information unless you verify it for yourself. I have given you the hearing, the eyesight, and the brain, and you are responsible for using them." And in Surah 39:18, God says, "They are the ones who examine all words, then follow the best. These are the ones whom God has guided. These are the ones who possess intelligence." So from these verses we can easily conclude that God expects of us to use our critical thinking to verify information and accept them only on the basis of clear evidence. As students of the Quran, it is imperative for us to recognize that God alone is the teacher of the Quran. This means that we only take His words as the sole authority in religion. The Quran should be used as the sole criterion based upon which we determine the truth from falsehood. In Surah 9, verse 31, we see God saying, اتَّخَذُوا أَحْبَارَهُمْ وَرُهْبَانَهُمْ أَرْبَابًا مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ. This means they have taken their scholars and monks as lords besides Allah. Here God is speaking about taking the words of human beings over the words of God. When we follow the words of a human being over the words of God, we are idolizing the human being and raising them to a status of a Rabb or Lord besides God. And as this leads us to misguidance, it is important that we recognize that God alone is the teacher of the Quran. And finally, in order to ensure our guidance as students of the Quran, we have to recognize the fact that the Quran is a complete and fully detailed book. In Surah 6 verse 19, God says, قُلْ أَيُّ شَيْءٍ أَكْبَرُ شَهَادَةً قُلِ اللَّهُ شَهِيدٌ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ وَأُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنُ لِأُنذِرَكُمْ بِهِ وَمَنْ بَلَغَ. Say, whose testimony is the greatest? Say, God's. He is the witness between me and you that this Quran has been inspired to me to preach it to you and whomever it reaches. Indeed, you bear witness that there are other gods beside God. Say, I do not testify as you do. There is only one God, and I disown your idolatry. And in Surah 6, verse 114, أَفَغَيْرَ اللَّهِ أَبْتَغِي حَكَمًا وَهُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكِتَابَ مُفَصَّلًا. Shall I seek other than God as a source of law, when He has revealed to you this book fully detailed? These verses teach us that it is critical for a student of the Quran to recognize the fact that the Quran is the sole source of guidance and that it is a complete and fully detailed book. So by recognizing this truth and following the guidelines provided by God in the Quran, we can ensure that we are guided to the correct understanding of the Quran. Thank you for watching. Peace be upon you.